All right, everybody, we are live. We're going to give some time for folks to come in, but I'm really excited about this conversation that we're going to have today. It was postponed from December, right?
Yeah.
And then we thought it'd be postponed again because of Snowmageddon. I don't know if we can call this Snowmageddon, but it's the most snow that I've seen since I've been in Maryland. What about you?
I've been through a couple blizzards here.
Here? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that puts
years ago.
another fear in my cap. But this is season 4, episode 1 of Conversations from the Couch. And I am your host, Dr. Daria Willis, and I am super excited to invite you all for our conversation today because we are going to talk about our athletics programs because they're doing some really, really phenomenal stuff. You know, I think about, the video game guys. Who are they?
Esports.
Thank you, Esports, and how awesome that they're doing. And they just beat the University of Maryland.
That's right.
Like the 4-year institution.
That's right.
That's hype. Hopefully y'all will tweet that out and let the University of Maryland know that I said it, that our community college students beat them, which is completely awesome. From that to basketball and to some other areas that Coach Smelkinson has for us, we're going to talk about, where we see our athletics program going. But in order to have an athletics program at a college, you need to know that many of our students come from the high school population, and a lot of them start like in middle school, right? Mm-hmm. Now, fun fact, I tried out for a sport in, was it middle or high school? Can you name that sport? Which one do you think I tried out for? And I got on the team too.
Let's see. I'm going to say volleyball.
No?
Eh,
wrong answer. I tried out for basketball. And I made the team. JV, but I never played.
Okay.
I just tried out to see if they were like dumb enough to actually pick me for the team. I tried out and I had like artificial fingernails and all of that.
Oh.
And they picked me for the team. Maybe because I was tall, but I don't know. Can you see me as a basketball player?
Well, that's why I guess volleyball, because tall.
The height?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought basketball. I was going to do it, but then I said they sweat and they do all that. And I was in the marching band, and so I'm just not playing with it. So, anywho, I did try out, I did make the team, did not play. But a couple statistics for you is, did you know that nearly 8 million U.S. students participate in high school athletics? And only about 7% of high school athletes, which is about 1 in 13, play in college. And while less than 2% of high school athletes, which is about 1 in 57, play at the NCAA Division I schools. So having an athletics program at a community college is a great option for student athletes. And how do you think that kind of helps coach with the statistics when we look at community college students and participating in sports? Because a lot of times you hear students say, I want to be the next LeBron, or name that football guy, or name this other person, and their statistics in getting into even collegiate athletics and more so into the professional realm. I mean, what do you think that's?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here
Cool.
on the couch. Community college, we give opportunities to those who may not have the opportunity to go directly to a 4-year school. And it's a nice little niche, and a lot of people don't understand how competitive it is even at this level. And so our coaches recruit year round, and every sport's a little different, but you brought up the statistics. It's hard, especially now, for a high school athlete to go directly to a 4-year school. There's the transfer portal and all kinds of players transferring from D1 to D1, or you do well at a low major, then you're moving up to a high major. And so college coaches now are just kind of waiting till the end of the season and looking at that transfer portal to do their recruiting from there. They're not really looking at high school students so much anymore. It's hard to get recruited, and so we offer the opportunity for student athletes to come continue their career and kind of boost their recruiting to another level. And so I love it. I love this level, and like I said, it's competitive. People don't really understand, and there's divisions at our level as well. There's D1, D2, D3. So
what are we?
We're D2 for the most part.
Okay.
some of our sports are D1 if they don't offer D2 in that sport, like lacrosse and track and field. But for the most part, we're Division 2. So we offer scholarships.
Okay. So to kind of give a background into your experience with athletics, you are one of the premier coaches in Region 20 and Maryland JUCO, posting over 230 wins as a college head coach, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. But you didn't start in college. Where did you start your athletic career? Tell us about your athletic journey.
Yeah. So I started off, and most people looking at me would not guess that I played basketball, but I did play basketball here at Long Reach High School in Columbia, right here, Columbia, Maryland. I was Howard County Player of the Year. I'll leave the year off there.
You can leave the year off? Okay. I won't. Don't tell
Well, it
me.
was 2004.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
That's awesome. So did you play all 4 years of high school?
I did. I played JV my freshman year,
Okay.
and then I played varsity as a sophomore. I had a good high school career, and then I went to California University of Pennsylvania, which is a D2 school outside
California
of Pittsburgh.
University of Pennsylvania?
That's right.
So they had an extension site, in...
So there's actually a small town named California in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that is cool.
And
okay.
so, yeah, small D2 school.
That's awesome.
There's also Indiana University of Pennsylvania, IUP.
Okay.
That was our rival school. So I was there for 2 years, and then I transferred to St. Mary's College down in Southern Maryland and finished my career there.
Nice. Okay, so after you done you played basketball primarily? That was your...
Yeah, before that, when I was younger, I actually grew up playing baseball. So I was a second baseman. But when I got to high school, I stopped to concentrate on basketball.
What made you shift from middle school to say you wanted to be in high school? And does it take a different level of skill to be a baseball player hitting a ball versus a basketball player? And let me just say, not to throw anything on feminists and non-feminists, but when men play basketball, y'all are kind of aggressive and really fast on the court.
Yeah.
So it just seems like there's a different level of activity required.
Definitely. I think for baseball, there's many different positions too. So you have your power hitters, you have your speedsters, you have your infielders, outfielders, you have catchers and pitchers. So I think much like football, where there's like a lot of specialized positions where it requires certain skill sets. Whereas, when I look at basketball, I think every position has to be aggressive and agile and skilled, athletic. But for me, honestly, what it came down to was I hated the summer 3-hour practices outside in the blistering hot. And I loved just being in the gym shooting around. And so I just wanted to put all my effort into basketball.
That's cool. So you went from assistant athletic director, right? And in 2021, you became director of the athletics department. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah, I think I was interim for a little while and then permanent in 2021.
Okay.
Here, yeah.
So now, and how long have you been at HCC total?
So I actually was here for 3 years as head men's basketball coach on a part-time basis in 2011. So I was here for 3 years, 2011 to 14. And then I left. I took a full-time opportunity at another community college in Maryland.
Which will go nameless. I'm just kidding.
That's all right. It was the other HCC.
Oh, okay.
And so, but
we're glad you're back.
I was there for 5 years, thank you, and a similar full-time position opened up here, and so I jumped all over that. In 2019, I came back.
Okay, so you're back. You've been here. You've been in the assistant position into the director position. What are your vision? What are your goals? What are your hopes? What do you see? What do you want to accomplish? Because you've got something special going on. One of the things I saw, and you were one of the first people that I met when I came for my interview for the presidency, but right outside this window, we have the Collard Foundation Complex, which is an innovative facility that's partnering academics and athletics in one building. So you've got 2 gyms, you've got classroom space, and I think we're going to be focusing on math there, which is really cool when you think about like our Howard Pride and that program, and how they'll be able to thrive there, which many of the Pride students are part of the basketball team. But I say all that to say, to give a little bit of context, that you've got something special that's brewing here at HCC. What's your vision to kind of take us to the next level with athletics?
Absolutely, yeah. We want to do it big here.
Okay.
We have a big time facility coming up, opening up next school year,
2025. Yep.
and that was part of was one of the main things that drew me back here.
Okay.
To come back was to be involved in the planning stages and construction phase of this project, and so I think the possibilities are unlimited. We'll be able to expand. We'll be able to add some sports. We started this year a sideline cheer group, which we would love to develop that into a competitive cheer squad and go out of town for competitions.
Okay. So there are community college competitive cheer squads?
There's not many. It's actually an emerging sport in the NJCAA. So it's co-ed competitive cheer. There's about, I want to say, 7 or 8 community colleges nationwide that currently have competitive cheer squads.
Is it more focused in the university 4-year level where we see competitive cheer, and like high school? Is that where the jump typically happens?
Yeah. I don't think.
Okay, I have to say this. I think about that movie. What's the name of that movie? Bring It On?
Bring It On, yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think there's also like a Netflix show which looks into
really
it. I think it's on Netflix, and it looks into the competitive cheer. One of the community colleges, I think in Texas, that has a team.
Okay, it's profiled in it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I just remember Spirit Fingers, and when I first saw Bring It On, I thought, I didn't know it was that deep in cheerleading. So you're going to bring competitive cheer here, and I did see our new cheer squad at the homecoming. Was it homecoming events?
Yep.
And they looked awesome, so kudos on that. What else is coming?
No, we have a beautiful gym coming for our volleyball and basketball team. So my vision is to pack the place and to have an exciting game atmosphere, have the community members there following us, grow our fan base, and just kind of, try to make it a desirable place to be for athletics. There's so much talent here in all sports in Howard County and in our surrounding counties, and we're the only college in Howard County, right? So I think there's just an unlimited amount of potential.
So I think about that talent, and just as a sidebar, if you have questions, please throw them in the chat so that when we get to that part of the conversation, we'll be happy to answer your questions. But so don't be shy, and I know if there's some of Coach Smelkinson's teams and students, make sure you throw in some love for him. But one of the things that I think about in Howard County, especially, and you went to Long Reach, and just thinking about this pay-to-play type of scenario that we have in Howard County, because we're such an affluent place. And one of the things that I've learned is when I was in school, there was always activities and just things that we could do that we didn't necessarily have to pay a membership fee to do those things. The interesting points that I find of Howard County that's been really good, at least for my son, is that he's in the East Howard County Jags. But that's one of those pay-to-play type scenarios. So he does the basketball and the football, but he's never had an experience in organized sports before. But when I was a kid, you kind of just did that stuff after school, and there was enough of it for all the kids in the county. When you look at Howard County, I think we're getting a shift of people from different socioeconomic groups, and not everyone can pay to play. So when I think about athletics at HCC and how we can tap into that talent in the high school so that the kids know that maybe there are areas that we can help them grow in. Maybe we offer, like with the YEP program, was it the youth engagement program with the county? You've got Coach Phil doing the track with the young kids who probably never had access to track before, and they're doing it right here on campus. How do you think about it in those terms, where it's not just we're recruiting to get the best talent, but also we're recruiting to make sure the kids stay out of trouble, and that they know that this place is a place for them, not only in athletics, but also academically. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about athletics is it brings people together and brings all sorts of people together, different sports. But yeah, we will be able to offer all types of programming to county residents of all socioeconomic statuses, and we'll partner with kids on campus to offer sports camps once we get our building open fully. And a lot of the times also, for whatever reason, student athletes don't play a sport in high school, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't move on and continue and play at the next level. So whether it's eligibility or whatever, they're jumping schools, moving around a lot, and just could never get settled. But I think we do a really good job here. Our athletics department, we have a great staff. You mentioned Coach Phil, Coach Shannon Riley, our softball coach, Mark Winkle, who coaches esports. We just hired Coach Will Thomas, who moved over from facilities. And so all of us kind of wear multiple hats and are in it for the right reasons, which is to help students succeed. And I think that it mirrors what you're doing with your leadership, your students first. And then we have Zakia Reeves Johnson and Dr. Grays, and it feels good working at a place where the students come first. And so anything we can do to provide opportunities for students and student athletes. One thing we're also doing is broadening our intramural offerings for our students. So even if you don't want to play competitive athletics on a team, we'll have offerings for you. Coach Phil.
Give me an example of an intramural.
So Coach Phil.
For some of us who aren't athletically trained.
Coach Phil started a co-ed flag football intramural this past fall, where we did, I think it was 5 or 6 Wednesdays, and we went out to the fields, and there was actually more women who showed up than men who were interested in playing football.
Interesting.
But every week for about 5 weeks, we it was a lot of fun.
How did I miss that? Shoot, I would have come out and just cheered. I'm not playing.
Yeah, well, so our homecoming ended up being a blend of that flag football intramural team who played against our staff and faculty.
Our staff and faculty, yes. But and the year before we played Prince George's or something, right?
That's right, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That is cool.
Yeah, so we had our pretty much our intramural flag football team take on our faculty and staff this year for homecoming, and then we brought the cheerleaders out. Students won. They won pretty big too, I think it was. So.
You said that a little
because I had a lot of staffers who were upset about that, but students brought it home. Students first.
Yep, students first. But they can work out. You got a year of planning, 10 months at least now to plan for the next homecoming. But that is really interesting. And I want to bring up gender if we don't mind. But and I think about the young lady that played in Aquila and the Bee. Remember she played in a football movie with Ice Cube, and she was the only girl. What's the name of the movie? Anybody? No? What is the name of that movie?
You got me thinking of Icebox and Little Giant, but I know it's not that.
And she was the only little girl, and she had on and she was it was her uncle. Anyways, long story short, I can't remember the name of the movie, but even my son, there are some young ladies who are joining his basketball teams and wanting to play football, and that is, I think, such a wonderful, awesome development that we're seeing happening across the country. And so you all being able to put that into the flag football, what does that do for the program? What does that do just for the community and the spirit of HCC?
Yeah, it's great, and I think that we've seen in our community at local high schools, we've had a couple girls play on varsity football teams. I think there was one at Longreach a few years ago who was a really good player, and then also I think I saw at Wild Lake, maybe it was, they hired a woman football coach, I think, to coach their JV football team. So
that's awesome.
yeah, and then our esports team, that's co-ed. Like I said, our competitive cheer squad is co-ed, and we always try to have
so
equal
all of them
offerings
equal
for
offerings
genders.
across the that's
Yeah, and we've got to make sure we're in compliance with Title IX as well. So
but showing that we're very visible in that aspect, I think, is really good. And again, I'll just say kudos to you and the staff for the YEP program. And I just love seeing the little people, and I'm not talking about our students because they're big people, but the little people from the elementary and middle schools coming up here and learning all the tricks in the trade and whatever the intramural sports are. So do we see flag football becoming an official sport entity? And I'm asking that because I'm a recent convert to football.
Okay.
So my husband is even like shocked that I am watching football games and I know the plays and the line of scrimmage and all the things, and I can't wait to see if Baltimore Ravens get into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But what's the plan for football, and what does it look like in the NJCAA?
Yeah, no, good question. So actually, women's flag football is also an emerging sport in the NJCAA, as is co-ed cheerleading. And so we are looking at adding both of those sports, and we're trying to add both of those sports. So we started that intramural league as kind of a feeler to see who's here who may be interested in participating in women's flag football, which is a spring sport, but it's a growing sport. And so we are looking to add women's flag football here, and we're excited about that. And we have some ideas for how we're going to get it off the ground and running. So.
Well, I just know that the last 2 years that I've seen flag football, when I've gone to the games, it seems like there's a lot of interest, male and female, participating, enjoying it. So great job. So tell us, how many students do we have total in our athletics programs?
Yeah, student
Across all of
athletes.
them?
Sure, yeah, just over 200. We usually hover around that 200 mark.
Okay.
But if we add sports, we'll see that number grow.
Increase. Yeah.
Yeah, and it, esports really added about 40 or so students to that number.
So where do esports students go when they finish here? Do they transfer to another major esports team in the 4-year, or like how does that work?
Yeah, Coach Mark Winkle, he does a really good job, and I know that we had 2 players in particular from years past get full scholarships to Alvernia University, I think.
Very cool.
One went over to Mount St. Mary's on a scholarship, and so they are sought after. And the cool thing about esports is that unlike the other sports, there's no amateurism rules, which means you can get paid. You can win cash prizes at some of these tournaments without penalty. So esports players, they have the ability to get scholarships and also to win money in their pocket.
So here's my last question before we turn it over to the audience. Before we got on live, we were talking about Super Nintendo, Sega, and all that.
Yeah.
And you still have, like, Coach Smelkinson still has a Nintendo?
Yes.
Like the original Nintendo, not the mini ones that they're coming out with for all of us who threw away or lost our Nintendo or had our parents take it away from us when we were kids. So, like, I don't know how you did that, but big ups to you on that one. But do you remember growing up and your mom and dad or whoever used to say, you can't stare at that TV so long and games aren't going to get you anywhere? I mean, that's kind of a moot point, right?
Absolutely.
At this point, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Like, games will get you somewhere. Like, how does that, just the evolution of it all? Because I look at my son, he's brilliant, but he loves video games. And I thought, he might end up in our esports program one day when he gets, up some size. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's cool. And then you see parents kind of shift their thinking because they're seeing on TV gamers winning millions of dollars. And then it's like, well,
okay.
And then you see, we have examples of students getting full scholarships to, after this, to 4-year schools. because they're good at gaming, and now they're getting an education paid for due to their skills on the on the game.
And they're good in like engineering and math and all of those things. And I know my son, he showed me his Roblox account, and he's got money in the and like dude's got money, like cash in the account. And I guess when he does something on the Roblox and wins, he gets paid an X amount of dollars. And I mean, it blows my mind. I played Nintendo, that's as far as it went. I had a Game Boy, that's as far as it went. But these kids today are able to make, like you say, a living out of it, and even they can progress in their education. So I guess for some of us parents, we need to just back off and let them be great, as Stephanie Wall would say.
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, one last question. I know I said that the last time. Give us a rundown of all of our sports that we have here.
Sure. Okay, so fall sports, we have men and women's cross country, we have women's volleyball, we have men and women's soccer. Then for the winter, we have men and women's basketball.
Who are doing great, by the way.
We are off to a great start. Shout out to Erin Barnes. She her women's basketball team, they're killing it. Yeah.
And I like watching her coach. Can I just say that?
Yes.
Y'all get like real quiet when you talk to me. They get on that in the gym floor. And y'all are completely different people.
Yes.
I love it.
That is true. Spring, we have men's lacrosse. We have softball, women's softball.
And that's Coach Riley, right?
That's Coach Shannon Riley.
Shannon,
Yep, she's terrific. She's also the assistant athletic director. So
Awesome.
when I moved up, she moved up into my previous role. And then we have men and women's track and field, and so that's Coach Phil DeRosier, who
Good.
he's entering his first season as head coach of the track and field team. So we're excited to start that up. And then we have esports.
Yeah.
So
we've got
12.
we've got 12 programs that are running at HCC with wonderful leadership. And to all of our coaches, friends, family members who support the teams, thank you so much, because we couldn't do it without you. So with that, we'll turn to some questions. Do we have any from the audience?
We have some interaction. So we had 3 votes for The Long Shots being the movie we were trying to think of.
Oh.
Could that be it?
Keke Palmer.
Yes, Keke Palmer. Thank you. Yes, that's the one I was looking for. I might watch that one this weekend.
And as soon as we joined, everyone started commenting feats, talking about the shoes. Everyone loves the shoes.
So I just learned that these are Grant Taylor's shoes, and he's a skateboarder. Yes, and I can't match.
These are 12s. Yeah, I had
The
to bust
J's.
out the white and red 12s.
I'm a little
for
jelly.
this.
Nobody's ever been so bold to outdo me on the shoe game on my own show, but
Oh no.
you got it.
I'll
give it to you.
I'll take it.
Since I only have one pair of Jordans, and I hear you have more than me, so that's fine.
I don't know. I've seen you in Jordans.
I only have one like real pair, and I had to buy them off of one of those collectors websites because they didn't say it was like the blue jean pair. Anyways, yeah, that's the ones.
Yep.
Yeah, I bought them off of a collector's website because they ain't have in the store anymore. Sorry, go ahead. What other questions are?
We have a user commenting saying they're watching from Pakistan.
Wow.
And we have many of Coach Mike's former players in the chat talking to each other. Mr. Mills, Mr. All-American, well, he's a current player, and Shane Taylor and Naquan Williams-Day showing love.
Naquan. What's up, Naquan?
Awesome. So, some closing thoughts then as we talk about our program. What do you want your students to know, and students who are watching, who will see this recording later, what do you want them to know about the value that they get from community college as athletes? Because we go back to those statistics that we talked about earlier, and how do we prep them to get to that next level? So if you could tell a new recruit or some kids in high school, why are we important, what would that be?
Yeah, I was talking to a recruit the other day, and so what I would say is that it's difficult to make a college decision as an 18-year-old coming out of high school, especially when you're looking at all these 4-year schools at all these places, in-state, out-of-state, where do I go? And so in many ways, when you choose a 4-year school as an 18-year-old, you're gambling, I would say. Whereas if you choose to come here and stay home, it's more of you're betting on yourself. and it's more of a sure thing where what you see is what you get. And I would love for, if you're a high schooler or middle schooler, come see our campus. And the way our campus is constructed, sometimes it's hard to tell when you're around it. You need to come onto the quad because it faces inward, and so see all the beautiful buildings and all that we have to offer here, and bet on yourself. And we have a lot of really, really exciting, cool things happening here, and we have a great, even our student life department, there's always stuff going on. We have homecoming now. A lot of activities happening here, and so bet on yourself and come to Howard Community College and participate in sports. And if you don't want to play competitive sports, come check our games out, and we're going to have an exciting game atmosphere, play some intramurals, get involved. And then after 2 years, you graduate from here, and it becomes more clear. You get a little older, and we can help you find that dream school of yours to go finish your career at. So that's what I would say to a recruit.
Bet on yourself. We need to make sure that Jared hears that so that we can put that as one of the taglines for our athletic department. But I love that. And you talk about the growth from being 18 to 20 and being able to really know what you want. I think that's important. So we have a big game tonight at Cecil College. Is it in both men and women's?
Just men.
Okay.
Cecil, they do not have a women's team this year. So.
Sucks to be them. Okay, well, we do. So thank you so much for joining. And all the people who come on the couch I'm trying to be Jennifer Hudson. She has her own little show. But they get an awesome conversations from the couch mug. So thank you so much for participating. We appreciate just everything that you're doing for the college. And I said it in the pre-show. As a president, one of the areas that gives you the most heartburn can be athletics, just because of just the varying nature and just the things that happen in the travel and all of that. But you, your staff, the coaches, and everyone who loves on those students, you all make sure that they have everything that they need. So when mistakes or issues happen, y'all take care of it. There's a plan of action for improvement, but more importantly, the students get to understand what it is to be a student and to learn about what it is to step out into the world to be an adult. So thank you for just everything that y'all are doing. And stay tuned for the next Conversations from the Couch, scheduled for, what date is that?
It's February 14th.
I was gonna say November. Clutching my pearls, like we just not coming back for season 4. But February 14th, Valentine's Day, yay! All right, so we'll see who we'll have on the Love Boat. I don't know what that looks like, but we'll see what that show is. But stay tuned for more. Have a wonderful snow day if you're home. Stay dry out there. Stay warm. Stay safe, and we'll see you next month. Thank you, Coach Smelkinson.
Thank you.
All righty.